Ok, ahora vamos a empezar. Vamos a empezar con... es un video de Laura. Laura does a lot of what they call comprehensible input videos. So the reason for us listening to this is just to get our ears warmed up with the sounds of Spanish. And I'm going to try to adjust my sound a little bit too, since some folks are signaling that they are having some, oh, come on, vamos. So no. Try to make sure I kind of crank this up. YouTube is one of those odd things that it either has a volume on so high it makes you deaf person, or it is so soft that it is hard to hear. So let's try this again. Vamos a empezar una vez más. Okay, pueden ver Laura. Can you see Laura?
Sí.
Okay, vale.
El mercado. El mercado. Hoy vamos a ver la
I'll put
playa.
captions on for you too.
La playa. La playa.
La playa, the
Beach.
beach. Exacto.
Cuando llegan las vacaciones, a la playa nos gusta viajar para jugar con la arena y las olas del mar.
It's kind of a little rhyme. Oh, it's a kid's book, as you can tell. Ah, the beach. When vacation time arrives, we like to travel to the beach to play with the sand and with the waves in the sea. El mar, the sea. Okay. And don't worry if you don't understand every single word. Listen for snaps, bits and pieces here and there. And you'll get the link to this later in the recap video at the end of class when I send the recap video at the end of the day. Okay.
Arena.
Arena,
y las
sand.
Olas del mar.
Olas, waves.
En esta playa hay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
And notice she's just saying what exists on this beach. What exists? Oh, there are, and we can use there are with numbers. So that's what she's doing here.
Y 16 personas. Hay 16 personas. Aquí, esta persona es un niño y aquí hay otro niño y otro niño y una niña. Y esto no sé si es un señor adulto, mayor o otro niño. No lo sé.
No lo sé. I don't know. When you want to say, I don't know, literally, usually you wind up saying it as, I don't know it. The little word lo in there means it. No lo sé. I don't know.
La arena en esta playa es de color amarilla.
Es de color amarilla. Normal.
Y en la arena, aquí, hay unas tablas de madera para caminar más fácilmente.
Tablas de madera.
Stone. Bricks.
Yeah, well, pues madera is wood. Yeah, normally we would
wood,
put
yeah.
probably bricks in there, but de madera, some wooden stepping stones. Fácil, easy, fácilmente
Porque
easy.
caminar por la arena es muy difícil, es muy difícil. Este niño o este señor no está caminando, está corriendo por la playa, por la arena. Eso es muy
Y caminar es una velocidad normal, ¿sí? Pero correr muy rápido, ¿no? Muy rápido, muy rápido. Corriendo just makes it into running. Corriendo, running, instead of runs, running, corriendo.
difícil. Pero este niño no está corriendo y
He's
no
not.
está
He's
caminando.
not walking.
Está de pie.
Está de pie. And I want you to notice we have an interesting little preposition. This word de, está de pie. Estar de pie. Pie es
Feet.
feet. Bueno, el pie es una parte del cuerpo. El pie, caminamos con los pies, ¿ok? Estar de pie means to be standing up, on foot, literally on foot. Está de pie, he is standing up. Está de pie. And notice, it's kind of curious, es curioso, estar de pie, and he's really not of a foot, is he? That little word de means of or from, but when we say somebody is standing, está de pie. He's standing up. Standing up. ¿Bien?
Parado. Parado.
Parado also means
Y
standing.
está mirando por unos prismáticos azules para ver muy lejos.
Binoculares. Binoculares.
Cerca,
¿Bien?
muy lejos.
Ah, cerca, lejos. Cerca, lejos. Cerca, lejos. Okay, you're starting to see some prepositions, right? You're starting to hear some prepositions. Cerca, lejos. This one's very concrete. It's not like that word de, which kind of, wow, we use it in lots of situations, but cerca y lejos. Bien.
Tiene unos pantalones cortos de color
Pantalones cortos son
Short pants.
shorts. Sí, pantalones cortos. Tiene pantalones cortos, pantalones cortos. Así, bien. Vale.
rosa, fucsia y una camiseta de tirantes. Aquí, detrás de este niño, hay una cantimplora
Water bottle.
para beber
Cantimplora.
agua. No es una
Cantimplora es como canteen, un poquito, sí, cantimplora es water bottle. Que usamos las cantimploras aquí en Arizona muchísimo, ¿verdad? Cantimplora, una cantimplora, todo el mundo, everybody, todo el mundo lleva una cantimplora aquí en Arizona.
botella normal.
No es una botella
es una
normal.
cantimplora. Yo creo que la cantimplora es de este niño, porque tiene una mochila de explorador.
Oh, he's got a
Así
hiking
muy
backpack.
completa. Tiene una mochila roja y tiene una esterilla azul debajo de la mochila. Pero es un niño un poco raro porque va
Y,
con
raro, es un niño poco raro. Raro looks like rare, can mean rare, but usually we use it to say strange, odd,
Strange.
weird.
pantalón largo y una chaqueta. Al lado de este niño hay una niña con coletas usando una lupa para ver este cangrejo. Está
Y cangrejo,
en el suelo
cangrejo es el
de
animal.
rodillas
¿Sí?
Está sentada.
Ah, está de rodillas. Está de pie, standing up. Bien. Estar de rodillas.
On the knees.
On her knees. So you hear estar used with prepositions a lot. Estar de rodillas is to be on your knees. And I know we would use on, but it's estar de pie, you're on your feet, or estar de rodillas, to be on your knees.
De rodillas y tiene un pantalón con flores. Un pantalón con flores y zapatillas.
Zapatillas, tennis shoes.
Este niño también
Zapatos
tiene
son shoes,
zapatillas.
zapatillas.
Pero este,
Tenis.
este y este están descalzos. No tienen.
Descalzos es barefoot. Barefoot. Descalzos. Whenever you hear a word that starts with des, it's like having our dis, like it's a it's saying negative. Calzados, calzados means having something on your feet. So descalzos is barefoot.
Tienen
Marilyn?
nada en los.
¿Sí? ¿Bien?
When do you use pantalon versus pantalones?
Ah, bien. No hay gran diferencia. Pantalón. Es como sinónimo. Sometimes some people will use instead of pantalones, pantalón. Pantalón, I guess you could say it's more like saying a pair of pants.
Yeah, I saw in Duolingo, when they say a pair of pants, you don't actually have to say a pair of pants in Spanish. You just say pantalones.
Sí, eso es. No
So
hay
it's
gran
not
diferencia.
So
Sí.
it's not necessary always address it as a pair.
No hay
Okay.
gran diferencia.
It is a-
Pantalón, pantalones.
Okay, gracias.
Can you put the closed caption back on?
Oh,
It's
sí,
gone away.
aquí.
No tienen zapatillas, no tienen chanclas.
Chanclas,
Nada.
flip-flops.
Aquí hay unas botas rojas fuera de.
Ah, she's telling you where they are. Fuera de esta tienda de campaña. Tienda de campaña. Esto azul con azul, ¿sí? Es una tienda de campaña. Se duerme en una tienda de campaña. ¿Qué es una tienda de campaña? Tienda es store. Esto no es store. Tienda de campaña es tent.
A tent.
A camping tent. ¿Ok? Pero las botas están fuera. Fuera.
Outside.
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 Sí, outside of. Fuera. Fuera is one of the words we're going to see today. Fuera de esta tienda de campaña. And she's just telling you these things exist. Hay botas, there are boots. Hay unas botas rojas, there are some red boots. Hay unas botas rojas fuera de esta tienda de campaña. They're outside of this camping tent. And it is curious that, yeah, tienda usually means store, but tienda de campaña is a tent. Okay.
Esta tienda de campaña. Una tienda de campaña. Y esta niña está dentro de la.
We've got another location word. Prepositions are location words. Dentro, fuera, dentro. Inside of.
Inside.
See? And notice, often we have to pair it up with dentro de. When I use dentro de, I'm going to have to name the thing it's inside of. And once I name the thing it's inside of, I have to tag on that little word de onto the dentro. Dentro de, dentro de.
What
Tienda
does it,
de campaña.
adentro, sometimes it's adentro or afuera? Is there
Yeah.
a difference between them?
Sí, un poquito, pero no tienes que preocuparte con eso. You don't have to
Sí.
worry about that right now, okay? ¿Está bien? Because otherwise I'll get way into the weeds. We just want to get our vocab
Las
down now.
botas
Okay.
están fuera y la niña está dentro. Dentro. Y la niña también está sentada de rodillas.
Sentada is seated. Well, oh,
Seated.
she's sitting in a kneeling position. ¿Sí? Está sentada de rodillas. She is sitting, but she is crouching down on her knees. De rodillas. De rodillas on her knees.
De rodillas. Sentado de rodillas. Este niño está jugando a las palas. Esto es una pala
And the
y está
paddle.
jugando a las palas. A mí en la playa me gusta mucho, me encanta jugar a las palas. Me encanta. Aquí, en esta parte de la playa, hay más gente. Hay un señor y una señora y muchos, un montón.
A ton. Un montón, a ton. Think of montón like mountain. It's a piling heap. Un montón. Un montón just means a whole bunch of.
Muchos niños. Hay muchos niños. Estos niños están nadando en el mar.
And we'll talk a little bit about this estar thing later on, not today, but a different day. Están nadando, they are swimming. This, when you hear corriendo, caminando, nadando, ando and yendo are the ing forms of verbs, the ing, the action word, like running, jumping, swimming, okay? So when you hear ando and yendo, it means it's happening right now, real time, as we are speaking.
En las olas están nadando.
Están
y
nadando.
Este niño tiene manguitos. Esto son
Oh, manguitos. Manga es una manga. ¿Qué es una manga en inglés?
Sleeve.
A sleeve.
Sleeve.
¿Qué es manguito?
A little sleeve?
Of the little swimmy wingy thing.
Floaty thing?
Floaties. Gracias. Floaties. Se me olvidó el término. I completely forgot the term. I am too far from the little kitty days. See, yeah, remember those little floaties you'd stick on your, so they take the word for sleeve, manga, right? Ito makes it teeny tiny. Well, yeah, es muy pequeño, es pequeño. Manguitos. Okay.
manguitos para flotar.
Para flotar.
Y esto es un flotador.
Un flotador.
También para flotar.
Para flotar,
Un
obvio,
flotador.
¿no?
Esta niña está jugando a las palas con el otro niño. ¿Veis? Están jugando a las palas, pero no veo la pelota. Ah, está aquí,
La pelota, sí.
en el agujero.
And notice that word palas. Palas is a paddle. And we have trees here called palo verdes, which literally means a green stick. And what do our palo verdes look like? Palo verde. They look like green sticks. Yeah. Not a whole lot of leaf action going on. Oh, I know they technically have leaves, but yeah, así es. Okay.
Todos llevan puesto un bañador.
Bañador es Another way of saying swimsuit, traje de baño es swimsuit, pero bañador también es swimsuit. Es un sinónimo. Okay, so you can use traje de baño or bañador. Anytime you see one of these words that end in dor, it means something that does whatever is in the first half of the word. So something you use when you bathing suit, but you know, swimsuit. There you go.
Pero
Bañador.
son distintos. Los bañadores no son iguales, son distintos.
Ah, no son iguales,
The same.
son distintos. Distintos, it looks like distinct, and it kind of sort of means that, but more like different. Son distintos. Distintos. Different.
Son distintos.
They're not all the same.
Esto es igual, pero esto es distinto. Es distinto. Los bañadores no son iguales.
They're not the
No
same.
son iguales. Son distintos. ¿Veis? Este bañador es rojo y este bañador es rosa con puntitos blancos.
Polka
Y
dots,
este bañador tiene rayas blancas y azules.
stripes.
Son distintos. Aquí esta niña tiene una gorra. Esto es una gorra verde
Ah,
y
bien.
azul.
Ah, la diferencia entre gorra y gorro. Un gorro en diciembre. Se pone un gorro en diciembre, en la nieve, en las montañas. Cuando hace frío, se pone una gorra, o un gorro, perdón, un gorro. Bien. Pero en un partido de béisbol o cuando hace calor, se pone una gorra. Gorra es más como cap, ¿ok? Gorro es a net cap. It'll fit tightly on your head, but it's un gorro en el invierno. Se pone un gorro durante el invierno, ¿entienden? En diciembre, en enero, en febrero, cuando nieva. Jingle bells, jingle bells. Ah, un gorro. Un gorro. Se pone, you put on, se pone un gorro. Pero una gorra cuando hace calor en el verano. In the summer, una gorra.
Y aquí esta señora tiene un sombrero.
Un sombrero.
Y aquí hay otro sombrero. Un sombrero morado y un sombrero verde. También
And sombrero actually comes from the word for shade. Sombra is shade. So when you see ERO, it again says something that does whatever is in the first half. It gives you shade. It's a thing that gives you sombra, shade. Un sombrero. Hat is actually something that gives you shade. Okay, a ver.
también tiene un bolso verde. Y las chanclas también son verdes.
Chanclas, flip-flops,
Estos
sandals.
dos niños están construyendo, están haciendo un castillo de arena.
Un castillo de arena es sandcastle. Construir, to build. To build. Están construyendo, they are right now building. Están construyendo un castillo de arena.
Un castillo de arena. Y arriba, en la torre,
Oh, arriba, arriba,
On top. Up top.
arriba, sí.
del castillo
Un torre.
hay
A little
una
tower.
bandera,
Bandera
una
flag.
banderita, porque es pequeña. Estos niños están construyendo, están haciendo el castillo de arena con sus manos, pero esta niña está usando una pala y un rastrillo y
Pala is shovel. See, rastrillo, little rake.
un cubo.
Cubo. Cubo looks like cube. It can mean cube in certain contexts, but here, cubo means a bucket, a little bucket. Un cubo. Some people even use cubo to talk about their trash can. Yeah, un cubo, because your trash can might be the size of a little bucket. Okay.
Es más fácil con herramientas.
Herramientas,
El
tools.
cubo, el rastrillo y la pala. Es más fácil. Y este señor está sentado, igual que la niña, está sentado en una toalla. Y aquí hay otra
Una toalla.
Towel.
Towel.
toalla. Y encima de la toalla.
She gave another direction. Encima.
On top of.
On top.
On top of.
Hay un bote de crema solar, muy
Crema solar.
importante en la playa.
Crema solar, sunscreen. You'll hear lots of different words used for crema solar, and they don't mean anything different. You hear crema de sol, crema solar, bloqueador, bloqueador. So you hear all different terms used for sunscreen, sunblock. They all mean the same thing.
También tiene una sombrilla. Esto es una sombrilla blanca y amarilla. A ver, dice aquí, cuidado. ¿Por qué? ¡Ah! Hay otra persona que está corriendo. ¿Quién va a buscar agua? ¡Ah! Aquí hay otra persona que está nadando.
Swimmer girl.
Está nadando. ¿Quién se esconde tras esta ventana? ¡Ah! Más gente. Más. Hay dos niños jugando.
And she used actually another preposición, otra preposición, tras. Tras is one of the forms of behind. What is behind? What is underneath? When underneath or behind this little flip, because it's a flip book, right? So you'll hear
Al
forms
fútbol.
of that.
Están aquí
Okay.
con su camiseta y su pantalón de fútbol jugando con la pelota. Hay muchas cosas que se pueden hacer en la playa. ¿A ti qué te gusta hacer en la playa?
¿Qué te gusta hacer la playa? Y vamos a parar allá. We're going to stop with that. And I will as some of you know, but some of you may not, on the day of class during the afternoon, sometime I always send you the email after class and I give you all the links. So you want to listen to that video again and kind of pick it apart and say, how did you use this structure? What was that vocabulary word? You can go back and listen to it again and turn on the little captions. Bien? Bueno, ok. A ver. Vamos a enfocar en preposiciones. We're going to focus on a lot of these preposition words. Preposition words are a big deal because they tell us where things are located. And sometimes they're used in non-translatable ways, which is kind of frustrating, yeah? But We're going to start with the very concrete, the very concrete visual placement aspect of preposiciones, prepositions, okay? And we're going to take them apart and kind of focus on chunks of these, not everything at once. So I'm going to show you some prepositions we're going to use. And Diana had a really good question about, oh, sometimes I hear, you will hear some of these words sometimes in different forms. So the important thing is going to be not to like get too hung up if you hear a different form, but to know the direction. Is it inside, outside, on top, you know, whatever. So, por ejemplo, I'm going to show you some examples. You may already know this word bajo. Bajo es short in height, okay? Un hombre bajo, Danny DeVito es un hombre muy bajo, ¿verdad? Right? Danny DeVito es un hombre muy bajo. But out of this one word, debajo, we get things that tell us directions. Debajo. Debajo, and usually you'll hear it as debajo de. Something is underneath something. You may hear yet a different form of bajo in abajo, underneath. When we just say something is underneath and we don't say what it is underneath, it might be listed as abajo instead of debajo de. So with some of these preposition words, I want you to know they may morph a little bit. You may hear, you know, a little debajo or an abajo, but if you know that this word bajo is short, you know that debajo is going to be saying it's going this way, not up, but going this way, okay? So always be aware that these words may morph a little bit. Here's another word that may morph a little bit. Frente, you may hear as enfrente, enfrente, enfrente de, you may hear it as frente a, but that frente always indicates kind of, you know, that front idea, right? Frente. So if we say something enfrente de, frente a, it's in front of or facing something else, okay? And curiously, a lot of people, there are lots of words that talk about in front of or facing or right opposite, but you know, in your face, facing you, in front of. And you may hear it as enfrente de, frente a, delante de. You may hear it morph into some of these, you know, different forms. And so don't get too worked up about it. Fuera, fuera is outside of, but you'll usually hear it as fuera de, outside of, and then you name what is it outside. Fuera de la casa. But somebody may just say something is outside, and they don't say it's outside of the house, or they don't say it's outside of the building, or, oh, that patch of land is outside of the park. They'll just say fuera. They might just say fuera. They might say afuera. Está afuera. It's outside. Está afuera. So what's the difference between fuera de or afuera? You get the general idea. Just go with the flow when you hear which form of that word, fuera de or afuera, is used. Afuera will generally be just outside, and I'm not naming what it is outside of, okay? You may even hear this term, las afueras. Las afueras turns it into a noun, a thing. And las afueras means this, because the suburbs are outside of the
Sure.
city. So just know, even with these prepositions, you may hear that basic preposition word morph into slightly different forms. But if you know which direction it means, you can figure out the gist of what somebody is telling you. Even this word, cerca. Cerca means nearby, right? Something is near. We will be using cerca de, because once I name what it is near, I need that little word de to tag on with it. So people may say, está muy cerca. It's very close by. It's nearby. But if I name what is nearby, está cerca de nuestra casa. It's near our house. When I name what it is nearby, I need it to become cerca de, cerca de. And you may even hear this word form into something like cercano. But if you know what cerca, near, means, una casa cercana means a house that is nearby. So you can often get the gist of what a word means when you know the base word. And then, we add different things onto that base word to give it different meanings. Una casa cercana, a nearby house. Un edificio cercano, right? Las montañas cercanas, the nearby mountains. Things that are nearby, bien, may become cercano. It may even become a verb, acercarse. Acercarse means to draw close to come up to approach. But all of that is built on this little word cerca, near. So these little prepositions will, as we're going to use them today, they're going to indicate a location, a position. But just know a lot of times you'll hear it morph into different things. And that is okay, because you'll still get the gist of what we're talking about. Yeah? Okay. So we're going to talk about some basic words. Let me find my little page. ¿Dónde está mi página? Okay. Vamos a empezar. Some words are also going to be interchangeable, just so you know. And by the way, when we use these with something is nearby or these things are in a certain location, we cannot use ser. We have to use estar. For how you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar. So when we use these preposition words quite often, we will be using estar quite often, okay? And you will, when you go into some smaller groups, use them here. And I'll send you this page later on. But this gives you a feel for some of the words you'll be using, hearing today and using today. Dentro de, inside of. And I need it to pair up like that. It's a little phrase, really, isn't it? Okay. Dentro de. You may hear dentro, but somebody might just say, está dentro. It's inside. And they don't tell you what it's inside of. I name what it's inside of when I pair it up with de. Dentro de. Dentro de. Junto a. Next to. You may hear a different word used with the same meaning as junto a. I'll give you what that is in a little bit. Sobre is one word for on. On. We're going to have a synonym with sobre that can be used interchangeably. You're going to see that soon. Debajo de. Debajo de. Under. Debajo de, fuera de, outside of something, right? Enfrente enfrente de, and this word gets lots of synonyms. So you might hear it as enfrente de, you might hear it as delante de. They mean the same thing, in front of. People will use whichever word they feel like. Detrás de, behind, detrás de. And tras, I wish I had put that up on my little screen share with my different words. Tras, if you just take the tras part out of there, that's the core word of that. Detrás might become atrás for direction, like somebody who is behind you. Atrás, atrás, go backwards. Atrás, atrás, go backwards. Atrás, tells movement to the back. Atrás. Detrás just says behind, stationary. If you hear somebody using atrás, they mean behind, but moving behind. Detrás is stationary, behind, and it's fixed location. Detrás de, behind. Encima de, over. Encima de is often used interchangeably with sobre. There's not a lot of difference, not a lot, between sobre and encima de. Encima de is on top of. Sobre is there a lot of difference between on and on top of? Not a lot. Sobre is also used as to express the idea of about. El libro es sobre el uso del español. El libro es sobre but es sobre, it's about. But está sobre la mesa, it's on the table. Está sobre, está, location, sobre la mesa. It's on the table, okay? So you may hear sobre and encima used interchangeably. You might hear en medio de, you might hear instead of en medio de, entre. Entre means the exact same thing as en medio de. En medio de, literally in the middle of. So meaning it's in between two things or amongst, if you have a bunch of things, okay? And so we're going to be using a lot of these kinds of words. And some of them are going to wind up being, oh, I know it's uncomfortable. Some of them will wind up being interchangeable. But we're going to watch some uses of this before we go off into little groups and use it. ¿Cuál? Okay, vamos a ver. We're going to take a look at this one. Momentito. We're going to take a look at another short video before we start some practice. A ver. Okay. Because we're not going to try to use every single preposition today. Es demasiado, it's too much. Okay, ¿pueden ver la bandera? Can you see the flag? ¿Pueden ver? Okay. Fíjense, notice. I want you to notice how she pairs up some of these little words with a little de. Sometimes, okay? You'll see the pattern, but you're going to hear a lot of está. It is located. It's somewhere.
Los adverbios de lugar.
And I know she didn't use prepositions, adverbios. No se preocupen. Don't worry about the jargon.
Este es Fufi.
Now, she is not telling me where Fluffy is yet, right? She's telling me what Fluffy is. What is, ¿qué es Fufi? ¿Qué es Fufi? Fufi es un perrito. Es un perro.
Yeah.
Okay. She's identifying what Fufi is. Este es Fufi. Este es Fufi. This is Fufi.
Este es Lulo.
Este es Lulu. We can't use estar. We're telling what they are.
¿Dónde está Fufi?
Giving them a name. ¿Dónde está Fufi? Now we're going to talk about where things are located. ¿Dónde está Fufi?
Está encima de la mesa.
Está encima de la mesa, on top of the table.
¿Y dónde está Lulo? Lulo también está encima de la mesa.
And también just means also, right? También, also, or two, T-O-O, not the number two, but two. On the table, two, on the table, also on the table.
You can put the
También es-
también at the end of the sentence as well, correct?
Sí, buena pregunta, buena pregunta. Lulu está encima de la mesa también. Vale, muy bien. Igual, the same. That word también can float around a little bit. También está encima o está encima de la mesa también.
Mhm.
We can take that word también and we can shift it around to some different places in the sentence. Buena pregunta. El orden de las palabras de también, el orden no es súper importante.
Fufi y Lulo están encima de la mesa.
And now I need están because hablo de dos animales. Bien. Dos animales están. Fufi está, Lulo está, pero Fufi y Lulo están encima de la mesa.
Trucos.
Trucos, tips, tricks.
Encima de. Sobre.
Iguales, the same.
Fufi y Lulo están sobre la mesa. Las gafas están sobre la mesa.
Anybody remember the other word we use for gafas? Because it's a regional thing. Lentes, lentes. Kind of sounds like lenses, lentes. Bien. Some countries you'll hear people use lentes. But some countries people like to use gafas. It's just a regional variation. Same thing.
Las llaves también están sobre la mesa. Lulo está debajo de la mesa. La pelota también está debajo de la mesa. Fufi está detrás del sofá.
So detrás del sofá, if you hear this word as atrás instead of detrás, atrás, it means there's movement going on. And here we're just talking about where he is stationary. So it's detrás. Okay. If somebody says, you know, caminando atrás, they mean walking backwards in a backwards direction, but detrás stationary, detrás del sofá. We need del. It's el sofá, I
La
know.
pelota está delante del sofá.
Ah, delante del sofá, está delante del sofá, delante. I could also say enfrente del sofá, same thing. Está enfrente del sofá igual a está delante del sofá, igual. Son iguales, they mean the same thing. Enfrente de, delante de, son iguales, they're the same.
Lulo está detrás del sofá con Fufi.
And con is another preposition. It means with. With. Con. Okay. We borrow that word con, then we put it in English in front of lots of different words to mean that something is together with something else. Concurrent classes. Yeah, concurrent. That's why we use concurrent. Yeah.
Ahora Fufi está delante del sofá. De más el del.
And remember, this is just that contraction word. Unless I have a proper noun, a proper noun that is capitalized, unless I have that. When we have de and el next to each other, they smash together to become one word. De and el, de followed by the word el has to become del. But de will stay separate if it is de la, de los, de las, but del. Okay.
Detrás de el sofá. Detrás del sofá. Delante de el sofá. Delante del sofá. Fufi está a la izquierda de la silla.
Oh, we haven't had this one yet, unless you have la izquierda is a little more specific than next to, because it gives you a direction, right? A la izquierda to the
Left.
left,
Left.
to the left. A la izquierda. I want everybody to try that big, scary, long word with me.
La
Izquierda.
Izquierda.
Take it apart. Izquierda.
Izquierda.
Izquierda. Izquierda. And when we say a la izquierda, we're saying to the left. A la izquierda.
A la izquierda.
Lulo está a la derecha.
Lo opuesto. We've got the opposite. A la derecha. A la derecha.
To the right.
To the right.
De la silla.
A la derecha de la
Exacto. A la derecha.
a la derecha.
Ahora Lulo está a la izquierda
Ahora
y Fufi está a la derecha. Oh, la pelota está detrás de la silla. Y las llaves están encima de la silla.
On top of. Encima.
Fufi y Lulo están dentro de la caja. La pelota está fuera de la caja. Un ratón. El ratón está fuera de la caja.
Okay. Fuera de, outside of. Fuera de.
Ahora Lulo también está fuera de la caja. Lulo corre detrás del ratón.
Runs after the mouse.
Corre detrás.
Corre, runs. Runs. Corre, runs. Runs after the mouse.
Dentro de,
Dentro de.
en. Fufi está en la caja.
Here is something you can use instead of dentro de. En. In. En can be translated as in or sometimes at. En casa indica at home, en casa. Estoy en casa, I'm at home. Estoy en la casa, I'm in the house. Okay. En, in, dentro de, inside, inside of, dentro de, inside of, pero en, in. Can they be used interchangeably? A lot of times. Sí, sí.
Pero, ¿dónde están las llaves? Aquí.
And now we're going to have some general words for here, and we're going to move from here, which means it's close. And we're going to move progressively out. We're not going to use this word a lot yet today. This is a preview, okay? A preview.
¿Y dónde está la pelota? Ahí.
Okay. Ahí is not ahí, ahí, and we don't pronounce the H. No se
Ahí.
pronuncia la H, ¿verdad? Ahí, ahí. Ahí is,
Over there.
yeah, but it's like not super far. It's still kind of close. Okay.
¿Dónde está la caja? Allí.
Allí. There's more of a y in there. Allí. Ahí, 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 aquí, aquí,
Here.
ahí, allí. There. Now we're getting further away. Allí. And now we got way far away.
¿Dónde están Fufi y Lulo? Allá.
Allá. Okay, so just know there are words that indicate a range of distance, and we won't get to these yet today. So this one is just a preview. Aquí, ahí, allí, allá. Allá is always, if somebody tells you está allá, it's out there. Allá is like the over there. Instead of just there, it's over there. Allá, allá.
Recuerda. ¿Dónde está?
Where is?
Singular.
Singular.
¿Dónde están?
Plural.
Plural. Encima de la mesa. Sobre la mesa.
Equivalentes, they're the same. Sobre, encima de,
Debajo de la mesa.
underneath, debajo de,
Detrás del sofá.
detrás de,
Delante del sofá.
delante de, and you can use enfrente de, same meaning.
A la izquierda de la silla.
A la izquierda,
A la derecha.
a
de
la
silla.
derecha,
En,
Dentro de la caja.
dentro de la caja, dentro de,
En la caja.
en equivalente, equivalent pretty much, it's just in, okay? Dentro de, inside of, pero en, in, same meaning, slightly different word. Okay,
Fuera de la caja.
fuera.
Aquí.
Okay, and this is the little preview of relative
Ahí.
distances. Aquí, ahí,
Ahí,
allí,
allí,
Allá.
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 Okay,
¿Quieres?
vale, okay. Bueno, ustedes van a usar todo esto. You guys are going to get to use all of this. Van a hablar en grupos pequeños. You're going to work in some smaller groups. Y vamos a practicar. Vamos a practicar con, ¿dónde está mi foto? Bien, 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 bien. Momentito, momentito. Aquí. Bueno, a ver, voy a engrandecer todo. Oh, I'm going to send you off into little groups. We're going to talk about preposiciones de lugar. I want you to talk about dónde está or dónde están and pick some things to talk about. And you should either have a copy of this or pull this up as a second screen if you're comfortable with this. I will try to see that it feeds into all the groups. I want you to just talk about ¿dónde está? Where is something relative to something else? And here are the things I want you to talk about. ¿Dónde está? Relative to other things, right? Las cartas, the letters. ¿Dónde están? Plural. ¿Dónde están las cartas? Bien. ¿Dónde están las fotos? Hay fotos. Bien. Hay fotos. There are pictures. ¿Dónde están las fotos? ¿Dónde está el ratón? And I've got what ratón means. A ratón is also our electronic ratón, besides being the little mouse. El ratón. La pantalla, the computer screen, la pantalla, bien. Las plumas, pens, el calendario, the calendar, las tazas están, el calendario está. La cinta adhesiva, the tape. I know it's a long word. La cinta adhesiva. It's adhesive ribbon, but that's what they use. La cinta adhesiva. They might just use it as cinta. La cinta adhesiva, las tazas, cups. See, el teclado, the keyboard, la silla, el basurero, the trash can, right? La bolsa, the bag here. Los zapatos, the shoes. And I want you to talk about relatively, use some of these prepositions to talk about where things are relative to other terms. And I'm going to just add a few terms in here. A la izquierda, right? De is going to be to the left. A la derecha, derecha, de, to the right. Encima, or encima de, or you might use sobre. On top, on top of, or just on. See? Debajo de, under something, right?
Bueno.
Instead of encima de, debajo de. You might want to use junto a, or I'm going to give you a new term, al lado de. And those both mean interchangeably next to. Next to. They're not as specific as to the left and to the right, are they? Not as specific. Okay. We've also got detrás de, behind. We've also got enfrente de, or same meaning, delante de, in front of. And we can also have some really, really general words like cerca de, near. Okay, cerca de, and we name the thing it's near. Okay, I'm going to add one extra word you actually didn't hear in the video. Lejos de, far. Lejos de, you're probably not going to need in this one because it's a little cubicle. There's nothing really all that far, is there? But you have lots of things that are in front of, underneath of, to the left of. So you can talk about any of these things where they are relative to other things in the cubicle. ¿Está bien? ¿Entienden?
What do you call that in Spanish? The cubicle thing that separating between one person and
Una oficina,
because you
mm,
cannot say a wall, right? Because that's not a wall.
it's not a wall. Well, una pared, you could talk about the walls in the cubicle, sí. A ver, vamos a ver. Let's see if there is a really up-to-date term for our cubicle word. Vamos a ver. Cubicle, cubículo. Wow, small workspace. There it is. Cubículo, cubículo. En oficina. Keep it simple.
So
and
what
keep
do
it
you
in
call that? Is a par de cubículo?
Cubículo.
Cubículo is a wall of the cubic on the cubic.
Oh, okay. If you want the wall,
What
if
do
you
you
want
call
a
that?
wall, you want la pared.
La
La
pared.
Yeah.
pared. Vamos a ver. Let's see if I can get my little bucket with white. La pared. La pared. Bien? In case you want to say something's on the wall.
Yes.
En la pared. ¿Está bien?
Sí,
Are we good with that so
gracias.
far? I am going to put you off into groups of like 3, ideally. 3, and you're just going to be, and I don't think I'm even going to segregate people out yet because you're just using estar, right? Or están, right? These are not using any complicated verbs. So we're going to get folks into some rooms here. Siete. We'll see how this breaks out. A ver, es casi ideal. Yeah, that's almost exactly ideal. ¿Cuántos minutos? About how many? 10 minutos, about 10 minutes?
Sí.
Tuesday, sí, 10, and talk about any item and where they are relative to other things. Okay, ¿está bien? A ver, okay, you will have to hit a join button now, and I'm going to run my little timer con mi reloj. And Bill, did it not put you in a room? Or do you not have a join button? Let's hope. bien. ¿Cómo fue todo? How did it all go? Bien.
Bien.
Ah, magnífico. Esas palabras son muy, muy, muy importantes. These are really, really important words. In my in my effort to kind of focus on whatever the best video for today was, there was somebody who pulled up a little paragraph and said, in this little paragraph, which was probably about, well, I don't know, 8 sentences, there were 70 prepositions.
Wow.
70. And it's like,
Wow.
I never thought about it that way. It's like, these itty bitty words start popping up all over the place. But the sad thing, muy triste for us, is that sometimes in Spanish, these little words won't be this nice, easy, it tells you where things are located. So we start with the easy stuff first. Move to the hard stuff later, So this is why I do not give you this. Here are 50 prepositions for you to learn, because no, that's not going to happen. Una persona normal, no. If you have taken French or German or lots of other languages before, it might be easy for you. Well, felicitaciones, congratulations that you are a Mensa kind of person. But not all of us are. And okay. Tenemos que practicar y practicar tenemos que practicar con lo obvio. We have to practice with the obvious first till we get into the weeds later on, yeah? Okay, bien. ¿Cuáles son las preguntas? What are the questions that you might have had coming in, like something that you weren't sure if you did it right? Or normally I will pop into these rooms, but today I did not.
I have
Usha, start it for us.
I understood how to end the sentence, but to start, I was not sure when we are saying where is the trash can is under the table. So I was not sure how to start the sentence.
Okay.
El basura is.
El basurero está.
El basurero está.
Está debajo
de la mesa.
So we name the thing we're going to try to locate first. Okay. We name the thing we're trying to locate first. Then we give the verb está or están, if it's a plural thing. And then we give a location and what that is relative to. Okay, por ejemplo, el basurero está a la derecha de la bolsa. El basurero, and there are many things, there was no one right answer, as you might have figured out. El basurero está debajo de la mesa. El basurero está a la derecha de la bolsa. El basurero está a la izquierda de la silla. There are a lot of things, right? These son flexibles. These are really flexible. It's all relative, right?
So my question is, I also have a question here that we're talking about it in a group that, like, do we need to use the a la all the time? Like, like, for example, like what you say is like el basurero está a la derecha de la silla, for example. So you have to use the a la, so you cannot just use izquierda de.
Right. Those little words have to link together. And I will send you the link to this picture page again. And I'm going to have all the prepositions that you need for this week. Okay. But they must be linked together. A la izquierda de. Yes. So these are going to be what they like to call word chunks or word phrases. These have to hang together like spit. Okay, yeah. Dentro de, dentro de. Okay. Somebody asks you, oh, you walk up to somebody. You need to find room 321. ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está el cuarto 321? Por favor. Ah, dentro. It's inside. I didn't say what it's inside of. So the answer somebody may spit back to you is just dentro, dentro, and they'll point. Because remember, they love to point with giving direction, right? Oh, dentro. And they'll point to a building. Ah, dentro, inside. But dentro del edificio grande, dentro del, inside of, dentro del edificio alto, inside the tall building. When I name what it's inside of, it's dentro de, encima de. And notice sobre is all by itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sobre is all by itself. En is all by itself. But debajo de, a la izquierda de, a la derecha de. Okay, so I'll have in the slide underneath, or actually I'll probably shift their position. I'll probably put it in front of the picture page that I sent. The preposition words that you will need for this week, I will include with this slide when I set it. I will send out an email. It will come early in the afternoon. It will list a recording to this if you need to rewatch things. It will list every video I use so you can watch it again. It will give you every page we used during class. Again, you do have some homework. Tarea, homework. I'll tell you what your homework is. I want you to just focus on these prepositions that we use. I may throw in like one extra, but basically I will give you the big website. I'll give you some extra videos. So because the more examples you hear, okay, Usha, you're gonna find when you start to see that pattern, other people using that pattern, it will give you some repetition to give you a little confidence with what to do, right? We name the thing, we give our estar, están, and then we name our position and what it's close to or underneath or inside of or lo que sea. So I'll give you some more, another video to watch to get a feel for that. Know that some people may use different words like, delante de or enfrente de. They mean the same. No worries there. But your homework is to watch the little videos. I come prepared with a blank sheet of paper and a pen or a marker next week. I will be describing stuff in a room, and I will give you like a central thing as a location and where all the things in the room are relative to that one thing. And I want you to just draw like little stick figures where things are. So if I give a chair, I'll then start to talk about where things are. So you're just gonna like on your blank sheet of paper, draw little stick figures of where things are. Like if I tell you a box is to the right of the chair, you're gonna just doodle that to see that you can hear and understand positions. When you hear it, you're going to hear a short story from me. Okay, so you're gonna draw a picture relative to what I am telling you. Okay, next week also where you will have to work and I will be helping coach you actively, where I will come into the smaller rooms, is I'm going to want you to talk about things like, and this will come in the email so you don't have to write it down now. What's inside your closet? What's in front of your house? What's behind your house or apartment? Apartamento, no importa, ¿sí? What's around your computer? You're going to have those 4 ideas talking about inside of your closet, dentro de, talking about Enfrente de, in front of your house. Talking about detrás de, behind your house, and talking about around your computer. And I'll give you those prompts in the email. And you're going to go, when you go into the small breakout rooms, you're going to talk and describe to your group of, say, 4 or 5 people, what is in front of your house, what's inside of your closet, right? You may need one little extra thing to help you out. And so I'm going to share that before we leave today. And I'll give you the link for this. This is called wordreference.com. It's what we used to look up cubiculo. And when you need to say, oh, I forgot how to say jacket. I want to talk my jacket being in my closet. Just go to this, ask it for English to Spanish, Inglés Español, and it's easy. It's www.wordreference.com. It's dictionary, and it will give you words that you need. If you need to look up the word for jacket, chaqueta. If you need to look up the word for bushes to talk about what's in front of your house, you don't know the word arbusto, right? You can look that up real quick. So you're going to look up, you're going to be talking about 4 different areas. ¿Sí? ¿Bien? ¿Está bien?
Sí.
Bien, bien. Bueno, pregunta, dime.
Yeah. In the syllabus that I got originally, it said to order a book. Are we
Okay. You don't have to. This is if you want it for reference, and I'll send you what this looks like. This is a reference book, but I'm not going to march through the book. So, you know, para que sepas, so that you know, this is a book. Some of you have a lower level book, which is okay. If you've got this, don't buy anything super handy dandy next. Some of you have this. This is just fine too.
Okay.
And I'll send you links for both of these. This is like a super beginner kind of book, which some people are kind of more looking at that. This is if people have a little more background and they really want to look up a lot of stuff. This will have a lot of stuff, but we will not march through the book.
Okay. Just wanted to know.
Yeah, I am going to send you most of the materials that you need.
Okay.
All my little files. Okay.
Okay,
Es
thank
buena
you so
pregunta,
much.
Di. Es buena pregunta. That's a good question.
Thank
Hay
you.
otras preguntas. De nada, de nada. Any other questions you have before we leave today? No? Nada? Okay. This is going to be just repetition with a lot of little words that talk about places, how to locate things in space. ¿Está bien?
Está bien.
Magnifico.
Sí.
And next week when we come back and you go to talk about what's in your closet, what's in front of your house, what's behind your house, all that kind of stuff. I will be going into each little room because you won't need the little pictures. Were you able to see the picture I put up on share screen?
Yeah.
Okay, bien, it worked this time. Yay. That
So
was
the word
supposed-
wall is going to be continuously in our work, part of the homework. The word wall, is it continuous or just sometime we got the word wall?
Oh, the word wall?
Yeah.
Oh, word wall. I will probably send you a word wall to kind of quiz yourself on this. Yes.
Mm.
I know there are at least 4 or 5 things on word wall that I didn't even create one myself because there were a bunch. And I'll send you one of those for this week as well.
Okay.
Gracias. ¿Sí?
Gracias.
¿Está bien?
Sí.
Está bien.
Excelente, excelente. Bueno, nos vemos entonces, el lunes. I'll see you guys on Monday, next Monday. ¿Bien?
Sí.
Gracias.
Gracias.
De
Hasta lunes.
nada, de nada.
Gracias.
De nada, es un placer, es un placer.
Buenos.